What's that? Who there? Whoa.
I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about you guys, selling a majority stake to Business Insider. So in October 2020, it was reported that you sold for $75 million. So first off, I want to say congrats on that. It's amazing.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And so I think this is a super rare opportunity where, you're super approachable and willing to share behind the scenes and have gone through this process. And so I know there's probably some things you can't talk about, but I would love for you to just break down you and Austin and leadership team in a room, how does this type of deal come together? And when you weigh the pros and cons to sell a majority stake at this moment, what does that look like?
Yeah, for sure. So it was a long process for sure. It was the first time that, obviously Austin and I have ever done a deal like this for a number of months where we're kind of in the thick of talking through the details of the deal. It really was 50% to 100% of another full-time job. The relationship with Insider actually started way earlier than the deal talk started, which was, I want to say it was in 2018 when we were in our first office at the time, which was WeWork in the financial district of the city. It was it all came out of this scrappy growth mentality, where one of the ways we were trying to grow our audience was by doing cross promotions with other media companies. And we had reached out, I had connected with one of the editors at Business Insider, constantly asking him hey, is there a way to syndicate Morning Brew stories on BI's website? We could do a cross promotion. And I'd bugged him enough times because I was relentless. I bugged him enough times where he was just hey, I want to introduce you to so-and-so, basically just foisting me on someone else. And he introduced me to this guy, Claudius, who's now the COO of Business Insider. But at the time, Claudius was running BI Prime, their subscription product. And Claudius and I met up for beers in the financial district on Stone Street, and we just talked about media. We just talked about the history of BI, the history of Morning Brew, where media is going, etc. And we just hit it off, and there was literally no agenda other than networking, because in the early days of a business, building your network is so important. And we kept the relationship going. We played ping pong pretty regularly, where he would come to our WeWork space, play ping pong. We would go to Business Insider's space, play ping pong. And then, the business continued to grow. He continued to keep an eye on our business. And then, basically, let's call it beginning of 2020, around the beginning of 2020, we started having conversations that resembled what if we worked together in a more meaningful way. And so it was a long process that took several months, and it all stemmed from that initial relationship, which for the first 2 years was nothing but just a friendship and a relationship. And after, let's call it, 11 months of conversations around a deal that went from very active conversations to at times more of a lull. It just had this natural flow to it, where at times it was very active, at other times it wasn't. Deal closed in October of last year. And the way that Austin and I thought about it was, we are at this inflection point in the business where we had this aspiration to expand Morning Brew from newsletter business to media brand, right? So from doing one thing about one type of content, right? Newsletters about business news, and go to a media brand that is newsletters, audio, video, social, website, events about business news, investing, personal finance, careers. And it was really exciting to us, but it was also really daunting to us, right? We had spent 4 years doing one thing. And so to us, the prospect of having a partner that was very startup founder friendly in Business Insider, because, Henry Blodgett still runs the company, founded the company. He's a hardcore entrepreneur at heart. Axel Springer, the company that owns Business Insider, has acquired hundreds of companies, has always put like the founder at the center of any of the work that they do. For us, the opportunity to work with a partner that was founder friendly, that had also gone through similar growth to us, right? Business Insider started as a newsletter and now has evolved into a, multi-$100 million company that does all of the things. To be able to learn from entrepreneurs who did it 10 years or 5 years before us was a really exciting thing. So it was balancing this with having a great partner who could provide us kind of this perspective and these resources so we didn't make all of the mistakes that would go into this transition of the business, while at the same time having a financial outcome that would allow us to take chips off the table and have a life-changing amount of money that would give us a lot of optionality, for the rest of our careers. Both of those were really exciting to us. And we continue to feel really confident about, who we chose as a partner.
Yeah. It seems like the pieces fit pretty well together when you take a step back and look at what Business Insider has done and what you guys want to do. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And to that point also, I think that was something that BI saw in us was we filled gaps that they had in the world of newsletters. Of all the things they do really well, newsletters wasn't one of their superpowers, and podcasting wasn't one of their superpowers. And those were kind of the two channels that have become superpowers within our business. And so I think they were really attracted to kind of the complementary assets that we had as a business.